All right. Okay, guys, well, welcome to the Diamond Lunch Break call. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm Jess, and I'm excited to share with you guys today. I am super casual today. I was actually just telling Miss April on the call before we started here that I ended up with both my kiddos at home today with my husband, and hopefully he will occupy my 3-year-old so he doesn't come. And I locked myself in the bathroom to try to kind of get away. But anyway, I'm excited to share with you guys today. I'm excited to just share my story. And I called this CE ownership, and really that is because I think that there's so many little things that we can do to really own our business. And when we have intention and affirmations that affirm our business, we are really, guiding it in the right direction. I think that we can either let our business just kind of happen and we can toe dip, or we can go all in. We can set goals, we can reverse engineer, we can give it our all, and then we can really see what our business can do. And so I thought that I would, today I'm going to be a little bit more of a preacher than a teacher, but I thought that I would just start by sharing a little bit about my story, because some of you guys are probably like, who are you? So like I said, I'm Jess. I started in the business about 2.5 years ago. And basically a couple years ago, I'm going to get really personal with you guys really quickly. But a couple years ago, before I was a coach, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And I went through this really, really deep battle in my life of watching her go through some pretty intense battles with it. I remember at that time, I was actually a worship director in a church. And I remember watching her going through that, not quite understanding it, and just trusting and just, trying to be there for her. And then at one point, we were told by the doctors that she was completely cured, completely cured. She's cancer-free. Shout it from the rooftops. And I remember actually being in a worship service at a large church in the cities here. I'm in Minnesota. And I remember being in this service and just announcing it, from the rooftops, my mom is healed. And we cheered, and it was this amazing moment. And then, about a week later, we were told that actually the cancer was microscopic still, and it was still there, and it was actually in her bones now, and she only had a couple months left to live. And something like that can really shake the core of your foundation. It doesn't matter how rooted you are. It can just shake that faith. It can shake, what you stand for, what you've grown up with, everything, right? And so I just remember just being really heartbroken over that, obviously, right? But I was actually with my mom when she passed away, and I remember choosing, I had this choice to either be bitter over this, or I had this choice to trust and to still feel pain and still hurt, but to be able to persevere through that and still have this faith foundation. And so it was a choice, because it was very, very difficult, but I chose to pour into and lean into my faith. And what I feel like that taught me before I ever got into this business is to really understand that for me personally, that I have a God that I can trust, that I can lean on. And even though there will be times when I do not understand what the heck is going on, He is somebody that I can pour into. And so it was one of those things where, like I said, I was with her when she passed away, and there's really nothing like being with somebody that is going from this life into the next, and just watching a sense of peace come about them. And it was in that moment that I really knew that even though this was a crazy trial in my life, and I wasn't really ever going to fully understand why the heck it had to happen, I knew that God was providing peace in my heart, just like He was with my mom. And so I could have this belief and this trust that was bigger than the circumstance at the moment, right? So that's really, I get that that's pretty deep to start with, but I wanted to share that with you guys because I know that it shaped the way that I looked at this business. And bear with me, because I know that sounds probably a little crazy, but it shaped the way that I looked at this business from the get-go, from before I was even in this business. Okay, so take that, just put this in a little department here, and we'll go here for a second, and then I'll kind of bridge it. So I'm Jess. I am the wife of a firefighter EMT. I have a newborn, so my brain hurts because I'm really tired. But I have a newborn named Kira. I got my little girl, and a 3.5-year-old named Isaiah, and they are amazing and beautiful and fun. And I basically started this weight loss journey of 56 pounds. After I had had Isaiah, I gained about 50 pounds with pregnancy and nursing. And I remember just kind of watching my coach post for about 6 months before I really actually reached out to her. But I remember going to a Super Saturday as a customer. I only came just because I wanted to do this big fun workout. I don't know if any of you guys have been in that place where you just kind of go to something because of something there that you think will be kind of cool or whatever, but I wasn't really fully sold on any kind of coaching. And Lindsay Stay, my coach's upline coach, spoke at that event, and it just resonated with me. I remember her saying a couple things. She talked about her journey, which was very real, very honest. She grew up and had a broken life from growing up. And I remember thinking, okay, like, this girl is normal. You know, she's had struggles, she's dealt with different things. And then she talked about how she used her faith in this. And she also talked about what a big difference this has made for her family, how it completely changed their lives. And I remember thinking, wow, like, I literally at that time was praying for an answer. I was working full time in this incredible church, and I loved it. But it was, I was the director of connections, so I was a networker by nature. I was helping people get assimilated into small groups and serving opportunities, and I was also leading worship. And I loved it, but I did not have peace about it. I felt like God was calling me to something else, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. But I felt like he was calling me to something else. And I remember picking up my son from daycare, and I would have to go back to the church because I was working 50 hours a week, but I was never fully done. So it was really like 60 hours. And I remember picking up Isaiah from daycare, and he was 1 year old, and he would go, "No, mama, no church, no church." I mean, he couldn't say a lot of words, but that's what he could say. And it broke my heart because that was not at all from my, experience and what I wanted for my family. That was not it. And I remember thinking, I feel like I'm supposed to do something else, but I don't know what that looks like. And to be honest, you guys, we needed my income. Like, we needed it. It was not, we had just bought a house, and my husband had gotten laid off literally like right after we bought the house, and it was scary. And so I remember just being like, okay, I need this income, and it's an amazing ministry. Like, what's wrong with this? Picture, why do I feel called to something else? But I really felt like God was telling me I needed to make my family my number one ministry. I needed to be home with my son. I needed to just have some other option, some other answer. And so I was praying about it, and then I heard Lindsay speak. And instead of just going for a workout, I figured this is what maybe I'm supposed to do. So I prayed about it for 2 weeks. And I really felt like, okay, it's not like I heard God's voice going, do this, but I felt like, I think that this is the right answer. And so I decided to go all in. I think it's so, I think it was just such a big piece for me to really figure out what this could look like. And sometimes even as a diamond coach, sometimes I see some of my diamonds feel like they've arrived when they're a diamond, right? But we know that there's so much, right? I see you, girl. I see you. But at the end of the day, there's just so much more. Diamond is really just the beginning, So what I did is I decided to go all in and be fearless in my actions, and I had a plan. So from the beginning, before I was even a coach, I decided I was going to be a CEO. I wasn't just going to be a coach. I was going to be a CEO of a company. And guys, people thought that people that I talk to now on my team, like they thought we were a top team. And I literally was like emerald, you know, like they thought that because of the way that I talked about it, I was so passionate about it. And I was basically, I had this confidence of like, we're building an empire. Like we're doing this, we're taking this to the top. Who wants to join me? Because I don't want you to be mad at me later on when you're not a part of it because you don't think I invited you. I just want to give you the opportunity because this is going to the top, right? And so I just went all in, fearless in my actions with this CEO mindset, right? And that's where that story about my mom comes in of like trust and belief. I knew that if God had called me to this, he was going to see me through this, and I was going to give it my all. And if I didn't, I would never know what really could have been. And so my story is kind of crazy because in 24 days, I became a diamond coach. In 6 months, I became 2-star. In 7 months, I was, or in 6 months, I was, in 9 months, there we go, I was a 6-star, and then a little over a year, I was 10-star, and then at 23 months, I hit 15-star. And I was just like going, right? And it sounds like it was easy. It was not. It was really freaking hard. And there was a lot of battles along the way. But it was something where I saw this opportunity and I saw these goals, and I reverse engineered them and I worked for them, and I brought this team with me that really is the reason that they happened, right? But my first goal was I need to make this full-time income. That is what I need to do in order to be home, in order to put my family first and make sure that that's my number one ministry, and then minister to others. I need to make this income so that I can do that. And so what I did from the get-go is I knew that even as a diamond, like, okay, so 24 days to diamond, I didn't have any volume. Like, let's get real. There was like no volume there. So there was little volume. So what I did is I reverse engineered and figured out as a CEO what it would take for me to be able to be home full time. How many challenge packs a week do I need to sell? How many challenge packs a month do I need to sell? Because at that point, that was where the income was going to come from. And so I reverse engineered that, figured out that amount, and then I baby stepped it. So like, okay, I'm going to start out by selling 2 challenge packs a week. And then I'm going to increase it to 3 a week. And then eventually my volume started to build as well. And in 6 months, I was able to hit that full-time income. I matched my monthly full-time income of working 50 hours a week, and I was able to be at home with my son. And that was huge for me. And what that taught me is that, and I know you guys know this because you're diamonds, you've been there, you have grown this journey this far, right? But belief is so huge, but then it all comes down to fearless actions. Are you going to be fearless in your actions? We all know that there's parts of this business that are a little scary, right? But are you going to own your business and be fearless in your actions? And so then I had this opportunity to go, I'm not stopping here. Why would I stop here when there's so many more people to help? And I know too that even at that 50-hour-a-week income right before, as I matched that, we were still living paycheck to paycheck. Like it was not, where my family needed to be financially free, to be debt free, to be able to, provide as much as we wanted to for our kids. And so I had to reverse engineer different goals, and they had to do with rank, they had to do with bonuses, they had to do with income overall. And that's really what it came down to. So I also realized that I had to be creative. So it's one thing to be like, okay, so I looked at how many challenge packs I needed to sell, and then I did it. Well, how did you do it, right? And so, something that I did, and I know you guys are diamonds, and I want to speak to you about this because I think that it is so important for us to remember too, to be creative. Be creative. Get outside the box. Sometimes we get into this management mode, right? And being a CEO is all about also being creative, being, inventing new ideas, helping your team, and all of this stuff. So what I did is I started to think outside the box. Like, okay, so I need to be able to make this amount of income. So how am I going to do that? So I started to do different events. I started to get a table at like a school, right, where they were doing a fun run. And I had this table where I would do an event or a craft fair or different stuff, right? We've all heard of those things. But what I did at these events, if there was kids there, is I knew that if I attracted the kids, I would attract the parents. So I would have this big table, and I would have this huge bowl, a glass bowl full of dollar store toys. And I would have a big sign that says, do your best shake dance or whatever, and get a prize. So these little kids were like running to my table. Well, when little kids are running to your table, their parents are running to their table, right? And then I had a big sign that said I've lost 30 pounds at the time, ask me how. And I was able to like build lists off completely cold market at these different events. I signed 4 coaches up at my first event, right? I mean, just different stuff like that I was able to do to be creative and to think outside the box. I also did, I helped my coaches do a launch party. And this is something I would still do today. I wouldn't call it a shake and share. I wouldn't call it a Shakeology party. I had servers, when I did mine, I had just a party at the Pasolas. I had friends come that helped me serve, and I had little shot glasses and a wine menu that was really a Shakeology menu, and little shot glasses on platters that they would walk around, and they were different Shakeology flavors and different stuff, just to have fun, to be cute and all that kind of stuff. But I was thinking outside the box, and I had people ask me about my story there. I told them about my story. I had my upline coach Lindsay stay there, and she shared her story, but not in a formal way, just in like a fun, let me share my heart with you kind of a way. And I would sign people up, and it was just a great way to be creative and think outside the box of social media. I will say this, what I love about this business is that it is on social media. So I don't do like parties all the time or anything, but just doing one a year even, or just something different, not where you have these catalogs and not where people come and they're obligated to buy something or anything like that, but just getting the connections made, word of mouth, enjoying your business, right? Being creative, being a CEO, thinking outside the box. So those are a couple ideas that I did that I feel like helped me get creative. And I also started like a fit club. I started a fit club in the cities for my coaches. It was at my church, just did a fit club. Do any of you guys have a fit club that you've run or that you do? Okay, awesome. For me, it was one of those things where I felt like it was going to be such a great opportunity to get my local challengers connected more with me, and for me to invite different people just to do a workout. And the fit club literally consisted of me sharing like Beachbody workouts and, doing it that way. And, they had to like sign a form or whatever, a form that Beachbody actually provides in the online office, but just different stuff like that. So that's awesome, Ange. I love that. I'm starting another one too at the moment. So that's really, really cool. It's a great way for you to really connect on a different level with your people. But, so for me, it was all about what can I do? How can I get out there? I'm not going to sit on my couch and pray and wish for $1 million. Like, that's not going to happen, right? You reap what you sow. And so for me, it always came down to being a CEO came down to, at the end of the day, would I hire myself or would I fire myself? And so I would be out there, I would be inviting, I would be, I invited the Target lady, guys. Like I would invite, and it wasn't like this weird, like, I'm so excited, join me, where you like push people away, because I think we've all probably seen some of that. But it was this, like, I believe in this 110%. If you guys had like this product, right, like this amazing hairspray or something, you would be like, oh my gosh, to all your friends, you'd be like, this stuff is incredible, you've got to try it, right? That's how I looked at this. It was like, this works. I've lost, 56 pounds. Like, this is amazing. And so, but it was also about, as a CEO, it was about going out and figuring out these other avenues to be able to help my team. That was really important to me, to help my team see that You know, if they felt like they were struggling on social media, it was like a way for them to have some different ideas as well, to be able to build their business. You know, I think that that is something that is huge. It's huge. And so it also came down to learning how to reverse engineer your goals. So like for me, helping my coaches get to diamond, right? That's something where I would do these one-on-ones with them, and we would brainstorm, and I would say, okay, so you want to get to diamond, because that's key first, is that they want to, right? So you want to get to diamond. Where do you see your diamond date, right? And they would tell me, and I'd be like, okay, now let's reverse engineer it from there. So we would talk through how many, you know, if they wanted to be diamond in a month and they had 2 coaches, that means that they needed 10 more. And so we would talk through what that looked like, you know, how many business coaches they currently have, and who was, you know, possibly going to go emerald. You know, it was looking at that and then saying like, okay, so if you want to go diamond in a month, then you need to add 2 coaches a week, you know, to get there. And really then evaluating, are you, you know, in a week or so, not just giving them a plan of action and then walking away, but continuing to mentor and follow up and show up for them and say, okay, is this working? If it's not, that's okay. Let's change that date. And I will be the first person to tell you guys, I have missed goals. I've missed big goals. I wanted to be a 15-star diamond in 2015 in September. And I hit it in June 2016. I'm not upset about it. I know that, you know, I mean, it was one of those things where I think I give myself aggressive goals and I go for it all the way. And then if I don't hit it, I don't shut down. And sometimes I see that with our coaches, is that when they don't hit a goal, they just shut down. And so I think it's really important when you are mentoring and working with your coaches to look at too, not only their goals, but then to talk about, okay, now we're going to get this everything. But, you know, if they miss it or something, to still build them up and to pour into them and to let them know that that's not where it stops. You know, I've had coaches become an SC All-Star, and then 1 month they missed Success Club after that. And then all of a sudden, for like 6 months, you know, like they don't hit Success Club, and it's like, whoa, something happened where they got derailed. You know what I mean? And so it's so important too to make sure that you're pouring into sharing personal development, and it's really on them, right? Like you can't build somebody's business for them. You cannot believe for them, right? But what you can do is you can lead by example, which is huge, to lead by example. Never ask or share with your team something that you are not willing to do yourself. You know, like for me, I have hit SC10 every single month I've ever been in this business or more, right? The reason why for me too is to go, if I'm going to encourage my coaches to hit SC every month, I'm going to do it at least twice over. I'm going to give this my all. I'm going to do it at least twice over. I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to give it everything. And if I'm telling my coaches to do a go for no challenge, I'm going to be the one that is going for no more than anybody. I'm going to be inviting more than anybody. I'm going to show them what is possible, right? And so instead of getting into management mode, then I'm encouraging my coaches while I'm still recruiting, while I'm still giving everything I have to my business. And so at the end of the day, I think that is the number one thing that is so important for us as diamonds and above, is to be an example and to share what is working and to share your heart. I share my struggles. I share everything. Do you guys talk with your coaches about your struggles and everything that you're going through? Because I think that there was a season where they thought that because I had grown so fast and because I was like Little Miss Sunshine on the outside, that they could not relate, or they would be like, well, that's Jess. Jess did that. But that's not me. You know, and there was a misconception there that everything was just going great or going perfect. And we want to be careful because we want to keep it positive. But at the same time, it's so important for them to hear our hearts and our struggles and all of that in, you know, with a positive spin and a positive way to encourage them in the end. And so that's something that I really, really started to do in my team page and with my coaches on a positive level, on a constructive level, you know, not every single day, but just sharing my heart, sharing. And, you know, it goes both ways because that's the same thing with your own social media and stuff too, you know. It's so important for us to share our hearts and be vulnerable so that people can relate and connect with us. I recently started to share, I shared recently, I had Kira about 6 weeks ago tomorrow. And after 4 weeks, I was down to my pre-pregnancy weight. And I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, but at the same time, I thought, how is this going to be relatable? Like, how are women going to be able to connect with me? Will they be inspired? Hopefully. But how will they be able to connect with that? And what I did is I did share it because I think it's a huge win for Beachbody too and a healthy pregnancy. But what I did say is, here's the deal, guys. I gained 50 pounds with my son and nursing. So to have this baby now and to be down is, to me, that it's totally a huge like win, but it also goes to show how incredible these programs are. So just being vulnerable and celebrating the wins, but also sharing your heart in so many ways. Okay, Ange said, I've been doing that so much more now, sharing the vulnerable side. And since then, everyone is opening up more and relating to me more. Exactly. Taking action, even though it's hard, like I am, daily. It's been amazing growth lately. Girl, I totally agree. I think that is huge. I think it's so true because people, they no longer put you on a pedestal of this coach that's untouchable or as a leader, but they see you more as, yep, a leader, but more as a peer too. And I think that that's so important because then when you are succeeding, it's something tangible that they can achieve as well. Cool. Well, guys, I think that's mainly what I have for you, but let's talk. Do you guys have any questions at all or anything about anything that I shared, or just want to share your heart on anything? It's kind of cool that we have this opportunity to come together and just chat a little bit too. How are you guys doing with your business in this season? You know, just starting the new year and everything. Is it flying? Is it going great? Is it kind of hard? How are you doing? And what's working for you? Carrie, did you unmute?
Yeah, I'll say something. I guess I'm so nervous, but anyway. So I have been like on again, off again coaching for like 3.5 years. And I went back to work thinking, oh, like, you know, this is never really going to work. But then the whole time I was at work, I was just like, why didn't I just do this? You know what I'm saying? So hearing you, and like, this is the first diamond call I've been on since I've quit my job. And there have been plenty, okay? So when you were saying you heard Lindsay Stay talk at your Super Saturday, I kind of feel like you're my version of that, because I was just like, I want to start. I've been putting myself out there quite a bit on Instagram, and I'm getting good feedback, but in a lot of the trainings, like I did this Shalene Johnson Instagram impact, right? And she tells you, you know, you don't really want to like pose with your Shakeology and, you know, kind of promote that you're like your product. And so like I'm having a hard time just coming up with language to promote my first challenge group, because I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm just putting myself out there to grow my business. You know, I mean, obviously that's why we do what we do, but we also like want to lead with our heart and really genuinely help people. So that's kind of my, well, that's not kind of, that is 100% my struggle right now, is that in my mind, like, I want to take fearless action, like in my heart, I should say, I want to take fearless action, but in my mind, I'm just like, no way, girl, put the brakes on. But it's like, my family needs my income, right? Just like you said. And so it's like, I need to get over my fear and do that. Because it's like, I can put, you know, selfies of me and my transformations up, pretty much, you know, showing all my imperfections. So why can't I invite people to my challenge group. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that it is a mindset shift too, Carrie. Like, is it Carrie or Kari?
Yeah, Carrie.
Carrie, just making sure. I don't want to be calling you the wrong name.
No, you're right.
But I think it's a little bit of a mindset shift. I do think that there's ways, like, just to be practical for a second, I think that there's ways that you can share what you're doing without feeling like, super coachy or salesy. I know, like, for me, my first post ever, it was kind of bad, but at the same time, the good part about it was that I was just like, hey, like, I had lost 20 pounds at the time. So I was like, I've lost 20 pounds and I just want to bring, people with me. I just want to help other people. And so I'm continuing this journey and I'm starting a group. And another way you can do it too, do you do free groups?
I have in the past, and they just aren't very successful. I mean, from my experience, like when I came out and started, like I like hit the ground running, right? And then and my challenge groups were, even though they have lots of people, it's like they weren't, not everyone interacts, right? So my free groups were like even worse. It's like I put content and I ask engaging questions, but they just weren't like responding, which I hear is kind of typical. So I kind of want to just come out of the gate and just promote myself in a way. It's like, okay, listen, I had to be willing to make an investment in myself to change my life. And by doing that, I was able to, lose almost 50 pounds. So if, you want to if you're serious, because our time, is money, you'll make the same investment. That's kind of how I want to lead without saying that,
So I'm gonna share an approach with you that I think might help a little bit, and it's something that I've been thinking a lot more about lately. I hear you on the free group thing. I know the first few free groups that I did, I was like, this is a waste of time. Like, I'm not kidding. That's how I felt, right? But what I learned, and I actually just put a YouTube link in the chat, you guys, that you can check out and use it. It's a call that I did on free groups. But something that I learned is that 90% of what I was doing in free groups actually happened behind the scenes. So, like, I've actually had a bunch of free groups. I will be honest, like, they seem like they're dead to an extent. I always show up. I always give it my all. And we've all had challenge groups that are incredible. We've all had them where they're just a little like, And it's nice when you have other coaches in there too, to just like kind of pump up like the energy.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to do too. But 90% of what I do is behind the scenes. I've actually had some groups that people would look at and think are completely dead, and I've sold 10 challenge packs. So what I do is I really, really reach out to each individual person through Messenger. And the first thing I do, just like you would if you were going to help somebody get a challenge pack, is you ask them what their goals are. You build trust. You build that relationship. Even if they're warm market, there's a different kind of trust that is built when you talk about, something that you're struggling with, such as weight loss, and when you can connect. Even if it's not an objection, I always do the feel, felt, found. I always do feel, felt, found. Girl, I know how you feel. Trust me, I felt the same way. I was like 50 pounds overweight, and it was derailing. It sucked. It was sucking the life out of me. I totally understand. And ever since I've cleaned up my clean eating and been able to do these workouts, it has changed my life and my family's life. And I do a lot of that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just giving you like practical stuff. Is I do it through voice memo. When people hear your voice, it builds a sense of trust that is totally different than text, right? And so I even ask them, even cold market, I'll ask them if I can get on the phone with them. And sometimes people are like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just really busy. And that's okay. Not everybody wants to get on the phone with you. But it's a great way for you to build trust by doing voice memos. And then what I do is I start to build a relationship with them, and I start to really look for a way to connect. and I connect with them, and then I ask them, you know, even if they're not posting in the group, I encourage them to, but sometimes they don't, right? So even if they're not posting in the group, I reach out to them, how's it going? I personally show them what a dang good coach I'm gonna be, right?
Yeah.
And so I look at my free groups as like, it takes 7 seconds for somebody to get a first impression, right? And so I look at my free groups as like, this is a big first impression to what my coaching is. But the beauty of what you're talking about, of like, you know, trying to be careful with how you first approach it, is a method that I've been doing lately, that I've been training with my coaches, is we take a week where we just we have a list of 30 people each that we love bomb. And what I mean by that is I look for people that I am really would love to work with as a challenger, as a coach, whatever, and I just like and comment on their stuff, not in like a freaky stalkerish type way. I don't look at their posts for like months back, just on stuff that they post. When they post it, I love bomb them. I just connect with them, and I don't even necessarily message them. I just show them that I'm there. And, and then the next week, it's not super random that I'm inviting them to something, because I've been showing up. So I invite them to a free group. And then in that free group, I give it my absolute all. I build trust. I build a relationship. I'm adding value by giving them this group, right? And then I invite them, like due to their goals, looking at their goals, I invite them to be part of my next challenge group. And when I say like free group, I usually end up having like anywhere between 60 and 100 people in those groups, because you're love bombing 30, but you've already connected with a lot of other people, and I advertise for my free groups. And I do it strategically so that it doesn't compete with me trying to hit Success Club. So I do it where I usually start a free group and my challenge group day one on the same day. So that after, like, so when we start preseason, after a few days, it's going to be too late for them to get a challenge pack, right? And still have day one. So I spend about 3 days publicly advertising for a free group. But I'm doing it behind the scenes with anybody else that says that they can't afford it after I've answered objections. So, but what that does, Carrie, is it's such an easier entry point about something like that. Like, hey, I'm on my journey. I'm on my journey. Hey, girl, I'm gonna mute you for just a second. There we go. Hey, I'm on my journey, and I would love just to help anybody else that is working on their eating and workouts for spring break or summer. And I'm just doing a free group just to, let's support each other. Let's do this journey together and keep each other accountable. And I have some great tools to help you learn the basics of what clean eating is. Or it can be a different type of group. I'm just saying that because I just started a back to the basics group. And then it's like this way of you helping people and adding value with no strings attached. And I think that's a much easier entry point. So I would encourage you to possibly start with that. If you feel stuck, start with that, build these relationships. These people in my group right now, in my free group, are like on fire. And I have these amazing messages going with them. I know exactly, I know their daughters' names. I know that their long-term goals. I know their short-term goals. I know that one of them has a wedding dress she has to fit into in a couple months. I know that another one is going on a cruise in June and wants to lose 50 pounds by then. And I'm building this incredible relationship with them so that we can take it a step further when this group is over. You know what I mean? So does that, here, Con, you're muted. Does that make sense? Does that help at all?
Yeah, that helps a lot. So now when you do, I'm going to watch your YouTube video, but when you do it, are they typically just like 5-day free groups?
No, I do the least amount of days I do is 10. And okay. The reason for that is, and I actually endorse 10 right now. I used to, the video that you will watch, I did like a 21-day group, and I signed up 10 business coaches from that group. I mean,
wow.
And it shows you how, like, I build this trust, and then I look for people with the gift of encouragement, and then I ask them to help me coach the group. so that they're actually, I
Oh,
give them the template and I introduce them as a 21-day coach, and it just totally builds this platform for them to already become a coach before they're coaching. And so I do that, but I will say that, where was I going with that? My mama brain is terrible. Where were we going with that?
We were just talking about the minimum number of days that you do your group.
Yeah. Okay. So, but sometimes after 1 week, we know that the passion in the group can kind of start to dwindle a bit. And so 10 days is a really, really good amount of time too, I feel. But some people have great success with 5 days, 7 days. I tend to go between 10 and 14.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now, are there any good resources that you have for like your script and, you know, how you reach out to people?
Yeah, you will actually see personal examples in the call in that YouTube. You'll see,
okay.
I actually like share the way that you'll see actual messages from me to them.
Okay, awesome.
Now, again, my most recent scripts, all you would see is a little play sign because I do by voice memo now. And I always initially hit them up with like a typing message, you know, but then after I get a response back, I will do a voice memo. And that way they can hear my heart. And I do a lot of that when I'm inviting to challenge groups and stuff too. So, but if I have a system where I invite, where I really connect with them first before I invite. It's called 532. And
I'm using that. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And if you guys don't know what that is, you can go to my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos on it. But that has really helped as well. But so has the free groups, because right now, what I'm noticing is that I get a lot more traction when I offer that value first. And I think that that's really, really helpful for building trust before they're going to invest in you as a coach. So remember, it takes the average person 7 times to hear about something before they'll commit. So when they get into your free group, they are starting to build that trust with you. They're starting to watch you more on your page because you start to show up in their feed even more than you did before. And they're really starting to see what you're doing, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And so it's building on them more than what may normally happen. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So in your free groups, are you, like when you share, like I've followed some Beachbody coaches who aren't like necessarily sharing the product, but they'll have a picture of, you know, their Shakeology in a cute little mason jar cup. And so, you know, they're drinking something. Is that kind of how you share in your clean eating groups? Or are you kind of open, like, you know, that you're doing Beachbody All Access on Demand and these are the things that, you know, are working for you? Like, I guess what I want to know is, like, how aggressive are you in your post to let them know, like, these are the products that change your life?
I think that you have to be kind of careful about that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and so I tend to, when I first do a live in preseason, right? So I have like 1 or 2 days of preseason, by the way. I don't do like a week, but I have like 1 or 2 days of preseason, and I do a live just to kind of like get to know me a little bit more. And I do talk about my journey, and I mentioned that, you know, my first 21 days of my weight loss journey, I used the 21-day fix, and I lost 9 pounds and 11 inches with that in Shakeology. And then I say, and a lot of that has to do with clean eating. And so what we're going to do in this group is focus on clean eating. So I mention it, but I don't like, you know, talk like, and if you want to hear more about that, make sure to message me or anything like that. And then in my posts, I actually have a workout, and I'll show you. I actually created my own workouts that I share. And so here's an example, and you'll see, like, oops, my computer just went AWOL. But you'll actually see like different, how I tell them how to do the workouts, like in here for moderate, There we go. I actually tell them like a beginner, moderate, and advanced version of it. And it's for me, being able to offer that, like I'll say something along the lines of like, I'm in the middle of a program right now doing 22 minutes a day with 22 hardcore, but if you don't have a workout, here is one for you that you can do at home. And I'll even switch it up if I'm doing 2 weeks. I have one for week 2 and one for week 1. But that way, they're still building trust with me because people build trust when they see your eyes. And so they're seeing me more and more with that workout. And so I will share in the comments, like when we share like what we're eating for that day or different stuff, like I'll just say drinking my superfoods today in chocolate form, or something like that, because that's true. I'm not going to lie to them and pretend I'm not drinking Shakeology, right? But I'm not like, this is my Shakeology, like constantly. Now, what I do in my messages is then when somebody says, I'm really enjoying this group, I still, I have 20 pounds to lose or different stuff, I'm going to go, you know what, girl, I totally, totally get it. And I would love to take a step further with you. And I actually have clinically proven tools that can help you, that helped me, and I'll like share my heart on it again in a voice memo and just be like, these programs are incredible. It has changed my life. I've lost 56 pounds. And if that's something you want to do and I can even support you even more and keep you more accountable in my VIP group, I would love to have you a part of that, and share it that way. And I do that, I don't want to say aggressively, but I do it boldly, So, but I do let them enjoy the group for a little bit first.
Yeah. Okay. Good tip. I like that. I don't do it aggressively. I do it boldly.
Because because I do think people are too scared sometimes and too timid. And then you have the other extreme where people are like, we've all gotten those messages of like, hey, hi, want to buy a wrap? Or just, just different stuff that's like so like ick, and no, I don't. You don't even know me. Like you never took the time to get to know me. So that's the two different extremes, and I like to find myself in a really good balance where they know that even if they don't buy anything from me, I have them in this group where I'm adding value.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question, and I'll quit hogging you. Is there like one particular personal development book that's really helped you like hone in on how to like better relationships or, just kind of become that like awesome coach that people want to work with?
Well, I think like the number one thing with what you're saying real quick is just having that confidence. There was a part of me that was scared to lead with faith when I first started because I thought that I would push other people away. Yeah. And what I figured out really quickly is that was who I am, so I was going to lead with it no matter what. But number 2 is that I'm going to attract those people, my avatar, to my team. So every day I post about health, hope, and heart. Those are the 3 things that I decided I was going to brand myself with, but they're really who I am. So obviously my health post, my heart is my family, and then hope is my faith. And so it keeps me accountable to posting 3 different things each day. But it also just really, it's just really, really helped me be really genuine, I guess. So PD book that's really helped. My favorite one is The Circle Maker. And like I said, it's a little more faith-based, but my favorite quote from it talks about work as if it depends on you and pray as if it depends on God. And I love that because it's kind of covering all bases, right? But, like I said before, you can't sit on your couch and pray for $1 million. You reap what you sow. You need to get out there. You need to work hard. And that's, I think, a misconception sometimes. Is I think for top coaches too, like I see people think that people just come to them all the time or something, when really they're working really hard and getting hundreds of no's a day, So yeah, that's the difference. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
And Eric Thomas is my jam. I don't know if you guys are fans of Eric Thomas. I listen to him. He's got books, but he is like a passionate speaker, and he is a motivational speaker that used to be homeless. became a millionaire. He just lights my fire. He talks about just really owning who you are and that kind of thing, and it's amazing. So yeah, him, and you can look him up on YouTube and listen to him there, or you can get him. He has a series called Allergic to Average on iTunes, and thank God it's Monday, he calls it. It's really good. All right, guys.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. April, did you have a question?
I did really quick. So when you mentioned, you said how you look for the people that have the gift of encouragement in your groups. And I remember it made a light bulb go off of the video that you did. I want to say it was your video. I think it was you in our other group. And you said something about how to find your gifts. Wasn't it you? And you shared like that little thing to find your gifts. And I meant to take it and I haven't done it yet. And I can't remember what it was. I could go back and watch it, but I just...
Yeah, no, you're fine. So just owning your gifts, knowing your gifts, right? And there are a couple different tests. I'll have to look. It's been a long time since I did it, but there are different tests like Gift Finder and stuff like that. So I'll try to find one, April, and then will you message me on Facebook? But because I can show you the one that I did. Mine was more faith-based. I actually did it at work when I worked at Horizons Church. So mine was more faith-based, but I figured out that I have the gift of faith, which is in belief, and then encouragement. And what I see is that really great coaches in my groups and stuff. Sure, yeah, anybody that wants it, just message me. I can put it in the 15-star group too, but just if you want to, feel free to message me. It's all good. This is a small group. But a lot of my coaches that I see just jump out of the gate and are really great. They have this gift of encouragement. And when I say that, I had a girl that in my free group that was posting, and she's like, "Hey ladies, I'm so excited to be part of this group, and I want to let you know that I'm cheering each and every one of you on, and I know that this is going to be an incredible journey for us together, and I just can't wait to pray for you each day." And I'm like, hello, coach. You know what I mean? Like, gift of encouragement. You can see leadership there. You can see that would be somebody that could be really, really good at attracting positivity. And so that would be somebody that I would be connecting with. And that's somebody that I would message right away and say, "Girlfriend, I'm so glad you're in this group. By the way, I have this team and we are building an empire. And I would love for you to be a part of it. You have the gift. I see it in you. You would be incredible. Would you ever consider coaching at all?" And that sparks the conversation, because obviously a lot of them don't even really know what coaching is. But that's okay. First of all, you affirmed them, and you gave them confidence just by affirming them already, right? They're already starting to have belief in themselves because you saw it in them. And I think that that's so important. So never hesitate and don't count anybody out.
For sure.
Yeah, girl. Cool. Do you guys have any other questions at all? Okay. Well, you guys, thank you for having me. I hope everything made sense. I got like 3 hours of sleep total last night. So I feel like I'm a little like, but that's the life with a newborn, right? So I will nap today. Thank you, April. Thanks for saying that. But you guys have a wonderful day, and I will share this recording with the group so that you guys can have it from your coach. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful day. God bless.
Thank you.